The first thing I noticed after installing the Vantrue new N4 Pro S was that it looked far more substantial than most dash cameras I have used before. The main unit is noticeably larger and heavier, so it immediately gave me the impression that it was designed around performance rather than trying to disappear completely behind the windshield. After driving with it for several weeks in different weather conditions, both during the day and at night, I found that this dash cam consistently focused on delivering dependable video evidence above everything else. This feels like a premium recording system from the moment I hold it. The housing is solid with no creaks or loose components, and every button has a reassuring click that makes menu navigation surprisingly easy while sitting inside the car. I actually prefer these physical controls over touchscreens because I can operate them without constantly looking away from the road. The large 3.19-inch display is bright enough to clearly preview all three camera feeds, making installation and alignment much simpler than I expected. The installation itself demanded patience, especially when routing the rear camera cable through the interior trim. It took considerably longer than mounting the front unit because I wanted everything hidden neatly without interfering with airbags or interior panels. Once everything was secured, though, the entire system felt extremely stable. I also appreciated the magnetic windshield mount. Whenever I parked in unfamiliar places, I could quickly remove the main camera without struggling with complicated clips or brackets. The biggest strength became obvious during my first few drives. Recording from 3 different angles completely changed my confidence compared to using a traditional front-only dash camera. The combination of the front 4K camera, the interior camera, and the rear camera creates complete coverage around the vehicle. Whether I was driving through busy city traffic, parking in crowded shopping areas, or taking longer highway trips, I always knew there was very little happening around the vehicle that would go unrecorded. Image quality from the front camera genuinely impressed me. Thanks to the Sony STARVIS 2 sensor and HDR processing, daytime recordings looked crisp with natural colors and excellent detail. Road signs remained readable even under harsh sunlight, while shadows retained far more information than I expected. One feature I quickly came to appreciate was the enhanced license plate recognition. During several evening drives with heavy traffic, I reviewed the recordings and found that plates remained surprisingly legible even when approaching vehicles with bright headlights. The plate pix processing clearly contributes to preserving those important details instead of allowing highlights to wash everything out. Night driving is where I noticed the front camera separating itself from many competitors. Streetlights, reflections, and approaching headlights were handled remarkably well without overwhelming the entire frame. Bright areas stayed controlled while darker surroundings still retained usable detail. The interior and rear cameras, however, did not quite reach the same level. They remained perfectly serviceable for documenting events, but the footage became noticeably darker under poor lighting, with less fine detail than the front camera could capture. It was not disappointing enough to reduce the usefulness of the recordings, although the difference between channels became very obvious during nighttime playback. One feature that quickly earned my appreciation was the infrared cabin camera. I occasionally drive at night with passengers, and the automatic infrared LEDs produced surprisingly clear black and white footage without creating distracting light inside the cabin. Faces remained visible even in complete darkness, making the interior camera much more valuable than I initially expected. Parking protection also became one of the features I relied on the most. After connecting the camera through the proper hardwire kit, I could leave the vehicle parked for extended periods knowing that buffered motion detection, collision recording, and time-lapse functions continued protecting the car. The buffered recording is especially reassuring because it captures footage before the triggering event instead of only recording after motion has already occurred. That extra context could make a significant difference if an incident ever needs to be reviewed. During everyday use, voice control proved surprisingly practical. I found myself using commands to lock important clips or turn the display off without reaching for the buttons. The system recognized my commands consistently enough that it became part of my normal driving routine after only a few days. Wireless performance produced mixed results during my experience. When connected through the 5 GHz Wi-Fi mode, transferring large 4K recordings to my phone happened much faster than older dash cameras I have owned. Waiting several minutes for every file quickly became a thing of the past. Unfortunately, I also encountered occasional connection interruptions while browsing recordings inside the mobile application. Reconnecting usually solved the issue within moments, but I would have preferred a more consistently stable experience, especially when transferring larger collections of footage. Another adjustment I strongly recommend is lowering the G-sensor sensitivity immediately after installation. The factory setting proved far too sensitive during my testing. Ordinary speed bumps, uneven pavement, and potholes repeatedly triggered emergency recording locks, gradually filling the memory card with protected clips that never needed saving. Once I reduced the sensitivity, those unnecessary recordings almost disappeared while genuine impacts would still be detected appropriately. Heat management turned out to be another positive surprise. Even after hours of continuous recording during hot afternoons, the camera became warm but never excessively hot. The supercapacitor design gave me much more confidence than traditional battery-powered dash cameras, particularly since my vehicle often sits outside under direct sunlight for extended periods. Knowing there is no lithium battery swelling inside the unit provides welcome peace of mind for long-term ownership. There are still a few compromises worth mentioning. The main camera is undeniably large, making it more visible from both inside and outside the vehicle than smaller dash cameras. While I personally adjusted to its size after a few days, some drivers may find it occupies more of the windshield than they would prefer. Unlocking every advanced feature also requires purchasing additional accessories such as the hardwire kit, circular polarizing filter, LTE module, or wireless remote, which increases the overall investment beyond the initial purchase price. After using the Vantrue new N4 Pro S extensively, I came away feeling that its priorities are very clear. It is designed to function as a dependable digital witness rather than simply recording attractive video. The combination of 3 recording channels, premium Sony STARVIS 2 sensors, buffered parking surveillance, waterproof rear camera capability, large storage support, and reliable supercapacitor power creates a recording system that inspires confidence every time I start the engine. Although the camera is physically bulky, the mobile app occasionally loses connection, and a few accessories are necessary to unlock its complete potential. Those limitations never overshadowed its primary purpose. Every drive reinforced the feeling that this system was built to capture the details that matter most when they are needed, and after relying on it daily, I would have no hesitation trusting it to document the moments that are impossible to predict but incredibly important to preserve.